right, let's dive right in. Today, we're digging into the book of Proverbs to pull out some of its most timeless wisdom. The goal is pretty simple, actually, to see how these ancient ideas can give us real, practical guidance for our lives today.
Oh, you know this feeling. We've all been there, right? You've got it all mapped out, every single detail is perfect, you've charted the course, and then, boom, life happens. This exact experience, this universal feeling of our best laid plans going completely sideways, is right where our exploration of Proverbs is going to start.
So here's the roadmap for our chat today. We're going to cover 5 main areas. First, we'll get into that tension between our plans and a higher purpose. Then, we'll talk about how to tell wisdom from foolishness, how to guard our own hearts, really understand the power of our words, and finally, we'll uncover the secrets to building relationships that actually last.
So let's kick things off with our first big idea, this constant dance between the choices we make and the sense that there's a higher, divine purpose steering the final outcome.
Think of it like a partnership. This slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have us. It's our responsibility to plan, to use our brains to make the wisest choices we can. But on the other side, Proverbs reminds us that the ultimate result, how it all shakes out in the end, well, that's in God's hands. It's this incredible balance between our effort and our trust. And this quote just nails it. You know, the most important thing here is the kind of security that this idea offers. It suggests that if you're trusting in that higher power, even your mistakes, your wrong turns, can be guided and filtered toward a good outcome. And that's a profound release from the anxiety of feeling like you have to get every single thing perfect.
So, okay, if our plans are being guided, how do we kind of align ourselves with that path? Well, the text points to 2 key things for turning away from evil. The first is hesed, which is a pure, sincere love for God. The second is emet, and it's a life of faithfulness, where what you say and what you do are the same thing. But here's the crucial part. Proverbs isn't saying you do these things to earn forgiveness. Nope. It's saying these are the natural results of a heart that's already been forgiven.
Now let's see how that builds into our second section. Here, we're going to look at the really sharp contrast that Proverbs draws between the path of wisdom and the path of folly, which helps us figure out what actually has real value in life.
You know, Proverbs is constantly forcing us to weigh our values. It's always asking, okay, what's better, getting wise or getting rich? And the insight is that all the gold in the world can't buy you the things that really sustain you, like love and joy and humility. Then it poses another choice, a simple meal in a peaceful home or a huge feast where everyone's fighting. It argues that harmony itself is a kind of wealth that money just can't buy.
And this right here, this is a really humbling gut check. It's a reminder of our own limits. So often, we act with so much confidence, absolutely convinced that our way is the right way. But Proverbs warns us that our human point of view is flawed, and what seems perfectly right to us can actually be dangerously wrong when you compare it to divine wisdom.
Which brings us right to our third section, the internal work. How do we build a life that's protected and refined from the inside out? Well, it all boils down to self-control and character.
I absolutely love this comparison because it just flips our whole idea of strength on its head. It highlights how incredibly difficult and, because of that, how incredibly powerful self-control is. Think about it. Conquering an entire city is seen as less of an accomplishment than conquering your own temper. That's a huge statement about where real strength is found.
So, how is this character actually built? Proverbs gives us this amazing metaphor of a crucible. Just like a silversmith uses intense fire to heat up silver and burn away all the impurities, God uses the trials and hardships of life to mature us, to refine our character, and to deepen our faith. The text also warns us about specific behaviors that just lead to ruin. Loving conflict, it says, is basically the same as loving sin itself. Mocking the poor is a direct insult to the one who made them. And even laziness is framed as a kind of act of destruction. But one of the most interesting warnings is against raising your doors. And this phrase has a cool double meaning. It can mean showing off your wealth with a big, flashy house, or it can mean opening your mouth too wide with arrogant, reckless talk. And Proverbs warns that both kinds of pride, they invite destruction.
And that last point about reckless speech is the perfect segue into our fourth section. The huge, immense power and impact that our words have, both on us and on everyone around us.
Wow, what a vivid image, right? Gossip can seem so appealing, so tasty, like a choice morsel. But the warning here is that it doesn't just pass through you, it sinks deep down inside and it affects the very core of who you are. It's a powerful reminder of just how destructive and consuming gossip really is.
And right here we see this clear, sharp contrast in how different people use words. For the wise, discerning person, their words are like deep waters, a constant flowing source of profound insight. But the fool? They're not interested in understanding anything. They just want to get up on their soapbox and broadcast their own opinions. All right, let's bring it all home. Let's look at how all this wisdom applies to our connections with other people. Our fifth and final section explores what it really takes to build strong, lasting relationships. So what does a true friend actually look like? Well, Proverbs says it's not about being popular, it's about being stable. A true friend loves you at all times, not just when things are easy. They are, as the text says, born for adversity. They're the ones who are still standing right there with you when the storms hit. And the wisdom here is that one single friend like that is worth more than 100 casual acquaintances.
And a huge piece of these relationships is forgiveness. The text says it's a person's glory to overlook an offense. And the key connection it makes is this. We're able to forgive others generously because we ourselves have been forgiven of so much more through God's mercy.
We're going to close with this absolutely beautiful and powerful metaphor. The human spirit, our conscience, is described as God's lamp. And just like a lamp lights up a dark room, our spirit, when it's filled with God's light, can illuminate the darkness inside our own hearts. It lets us tell the difference between good and evil, and it helps us to know God.
So the question that this ancient wisdom leaves us with is a really personal one. As you go about your day, just think about this. What is the lamp of your spirit shining a light on inside of you right now? What truths is it revealing? Thanks for joining this explainer.